Hey there, it's Annie from Sew This Pattern. I thought I'd get it on the Seamstress hashtag bandwagon since everybody seems to have done such great little videos. I've been really enjoying watching them. And thanks to Hollie Sews for the awesome idea of putting this together. Who am I? I'm Annie. I'm from Tasmania originally. I have 5 brothers, 1 sister. And I moved to Sydney when I was about 21. Then I lived in Canada for 6 years up until I was about 30. Very long story. Got married, got divorced. Yeah, long story. You don't want to know the ins and outs of that. Then I moved to Melbourne because my Canadian friend was here and she wanted me to hang out with her here. Then I met my partner who I've been with since, and we've had 2 kids. 2 boys, 9 and 11, and yeah, and here I am in Melbourne, and it's very balmy today. That's why I've got my little Berta style vintage halter dress on. Actually, I'll do a whiz around because this is one of my favourite dresses. And yeah, very balmy. It's come across a little bit dark this afternoon, so I hope the lighting's okay for this video. I think the storm's hitting. Anyway, what's the next question? The next question is, why did you start sewing? Well, naturally, my mum had 7 kids. She was sewing for all of us, so she taught me how to sew. I learnt to sew at school as well, except my teacher didn't like me because I used to talk too much apparently and kicked me out of class, and which was unfortunate because I did love it. Yeah, but she just didn't like me very much, so I didn't get to sew very much while I was at school. Then I worked in the fashion industry for a long time as a product developer. I also used to sell fabrics. That was one of my first jobs. And then I didn't sew for a long time because I was designing and developing product. And then after I had my kids, I decided to start sewing again, to sew some little pants and shirts for the boys. And then when I got sick of boys wear, I decided to start sewing a few things for myself, and then one thing led to another, and I started, start designing patterns again. And then I thought I might try and make some little patterns to put up on my website and sell just as an indie designer, and that's my little hobby business, Sew This Pattern. So I'm just hoping to deliver some nice patterns to you all out there. I've got about 6 patterns on my website now, so yeah, it's just a hobby, and I'm just hoping everybody, gets some enjoyment out of it. It gives me something to do in my spare time. Okay, so the next question is, what is your favourite thing that you've made so far? Probably the most fun thing I've made so far is this dress. I'll put a link to my blog. Oh, it's an old blog, but I'll put a link to the blog post. I designed it and made it for a competition for Tazudi. They used to have competitions. I don't know if they still do, but the theme was red and black. I can't remember now. But anyway, there was red and black taffeta, and you had to make a dress or any outfit, I suppose, but you had to use their fabrics. So I decided to make this. I was into making corsets at the time. Well, not corsets, but bustiers. I was watching Gertie's blogs about making corsets, and I was a bit obsessed with that at the time. So it's got boning in through the bust area there. And then, oh, actually I was inspired by a dress I saw on the runway by Chloe. It was gorgeous, and it was kind of ivory colour. It was really beautiful and had this big ruffle. But anyway, I'll just show you. So yeah, so I draped it on the mannequin and made these little tucks. Can you see the tucks? You can't quite see it on the bodice. And then hang on, I'll take the belt off. 1 shoulder strap, and then I made this ruffle. So ruffles are back in now. See, I'm ahead of my time. I made a ruffle waistband and also this massive ruffle that goes up into the sleeve. So that sits on your arm. Oh, it's hard to show you, but it sits like that. Maybe I'll take the coat hanger off, it might be easier. And because of the boning, it just sits really nicely on my bust area. And then, oh, you can't really see, but I might stand on the chair. Hopefully I don't fall off. Oh, here we go. So yeah, it's a balloon hem. So I've lined it and gathered it into the lining. And I can't believe I've only actually ever worn it once to my nephew's wedding. Oh, and it has a little belt, and the belt wraps around the waistband, and it's got a really big button on the back. So that is my favourite make actually, because I just had so much fun with it and because I designed it. So yeah, I'm really happy with that one. Okay, so what is your most disastrous make? Well, this one wins hands down. It was just awful. I've got it here to show you. Actually, I've got the pattern here. I pulled the pattern out the other day. Just hold on a second. Okay, it's not the pattern that's disastrous. The pattern's actually really quite nice. It's a Butterick pattern, wrap dress. Flared wrap dress that the below mid-knee has semi-fitted bodice, blah blah. You don't need to know the details, but it is a really nice pattern. But I just rushed it. I went to my mum and dad's place in Tassie. They live on a farm, and mum doesn't have a sewing machine anymore because I don't know what happened to it. Somebody's probably taken it. Anyway, so I went and borrowed a sewing machine. So I didn't have an overlocker, and the sewing machine wasn't that great, and I couldn't be bothered making a toile. I just wanted to get this dress done quickly for whatever reason. I just wanted to make a dress in a day, and so I didn't test the fit. It's too big in the bust. The hem sits awfully. It's not even, and the fabric I chose is just horrendous. It's so pretty though. It's really pretty. It's a really pretty fabric, and look at the sleeves. It's gorgeous. Like really pretty butterfly flared sleeves. But the problem with the fabric, it just frayed so much. It's out of control. So because the zigzag stitch just didn't do the job, I'll show you the fraying. This is with the zigzag. If you can see the fraying, there we go. That's with interfacing as well. All through the dress, it's just frayed horrendously. Look at that. I can't stand it when it looks awful on the inside. I like my inside to look as good, oh look, as the outside. It just, can you see it all the fraying? It's horrible. So it was just a cheap fabric, rush sew job, fits terribly, it's awful. I'll put it over the top of this dress so you can have a look. Okay, so it's quite a pretty design that just sits there. I think I actually took the hook and eye off because I was going to pull it apart and try and fix it, but yeah, so it sits there with a hook and eye, but it's just way too big through the bust area, and I'm going to have to get on the chair again so you can see the hem. Here we go. Whoops. So if I line it up straight, or actually it goes this way, you can see the hem sort of falls down. It's uneven down there, so I was constantly having to sort of hitch it up onto the belt. It's just, yeah, it just not a nice make. So this is my least favourite. The one thing I do like about it is the collar. When you put it up, I look like Elvis. You ain't nothing but a hound dog. Yeah. Okay, so next question, where is your favourite place to go shopping? I've got a couple. I definitely love going to Tessuti Fabrics, if I've got the money. Darn Cheap Fabrics is one of my favourites actually, because they have really sort of cool, up-to-date fashion fabrics, but are pretty reasonably priced. And you know, well, I suppose the quality's okay, but probably best mid-range place is the fabric store on Brunswick Street, Fitzroy. Mid-range, like mid-price range, and nice fabrics, like gorgeous fabrics. So that's probably my three. Darn Cheap Fabrics when I haven't got any money, Tessuti when I'm cashed up, and the fabric store if I can be bothered travelling over to the other side of the river. Actually, I think I'll show you some fabric I got from Darn Cheap recently, Darn Cheap Fabrics. It's a Dolce & Gabbana, well obviously a rip-off of Dolce & Gabbana, Look, it's got ice creams all over it. It's so cool. I'm going to make my Daphne dress in that. And oh, actually, I didn't mention Spotlight. I do go to Spotlight quite a lot, just for, I don't know. Sometimes they have nice fabrics. You have to hunt through it a fair bit. I like it when they have sales. But I bought this from Spotlight recently. It's just a acrylic mixed with wool. And I was thinking about making a cape. Actually, I got a vintage pattern in a cape. It's going to be cool. Yeah, I like that. All right. Okay, what is your most used pattern? Well, because I'm designing patterns and putting them on my website for sale, I sew a lot of my own patterns a lot. So my Annie A line, I've made that in several different fabrics. This is the original one that you'll see on my website. Very pretty fabric. I wore that today actually. After I had another costume change, I probably go through about 3 costume changes a day. And then I've also made it in this one from Tezuti. The A-line, it's so simple and such an easy make. And you just whack on a t-shirt with them, like white t-shirt, black t-shirt. This one I've put little polka dot pockets on. That's really cool. And there's another one that I had, a grey one that I made, and I cannot for the life of me find it. I must have given it away. So I've got 4 Annie A-lines. The other one of my patterns is the pin pegs mini skirt. I've made a lot of those. I've made one in that fabric from Tezuti. This is one of my favourites. This is from the fabric store in Brunswick in Fitzroy. Brunswick Street, Fitzroy. I always go to say Brunswick, but it's Brunswick Street, Fitzroy. I made a leather pin pegs mini. That is pretty cool actually. That was fun to sew. That was more fun and easier than I thought. I haven't worn that a lot though. I just don't go out enough, that's the problem. And then, yeah, and then I made it in another one from Tezuti. Actually, I've used this fabric because I had leftover fabric, and I made some shorts, Tezuti shorts as well. So that's the pin pegs. So the A-line and the pin pegs definitely, and I've made my kimono a fair bit, but a pattern that's not mine. I'm currently on another one of these play suits. I love this play suit. I've made a short play suit and I have worn it so much. I wore it yesterday actually. Over summer, I've just lived in it. So it's Simplicity 1355 and I'm now currently making it Tezuti fabrics again. So I obviously love their fabrics. I'm making the long version. I'm making the dress, not the play suit this time, in this fabric. It's like a batik. So I'm hoping that that will turn out nice. Okay, what is your least favourite sewing task? I know everybody says it's their favourite, it's my least. It's the hem. I can't stand doing the hems. I don't know why. I'm so close to the finish. And I know it's going to take me so long because I like to be very precise, and especially, you know, if you're making a skirt like this with a bit of a circle, you know, got to gather it up. And I think it's just the fact that I'm so close to finishing and yet so far. Yeah, hems are my least favourite. What is your favourite sewing task? My favourite sewing task. I actually quite like inserting zippers. I don't know why. I think because it's a challenge, and you know, when it turns out perfectly, it's just the best. Like you look at an invisible zipper and you go, I did a really good job on that, and you feel pretty good about yourself. Or an exposed zipper, they look really cool. I shorten zippers. So if I've got a metal zipper, I'll get out the pliers and shorten them. So I do, and I've got a lot of zippers actually. I'll show you. Yeah, maybe I am a bit obsessed with zips. Ooh. I've got a big bag of zippers here. So lots and lots of zips. So definitely, yeah, I love sewing zips. What is your favourite sewing entertainment? Mine is definitely Spotify. Every time I go to sew, I've got to pop on my Spotify, get a cup of coffee, then I'm set. And I just hit random, don't really care what I listen to as long as it's music. I have to have my music on. I did go through a period where I've got the TV in this room, and because I've got a spare bed in this room, so it's kind of half a sewing studio, half a spare bed for my parents when they come to stay. So I've got a little telly in here for them, and I started watching or listening to Dr. Phil while I was sewing. So I had to get myself out of that habit. It was terrible. I wasn't watching it. I was just listening to it. Didn't even know what the people look like half the time. But yeah, no, I love my music. I clean to music too. I love it. Printed or PDF? Well, I love PDF. I know most people have said printed, and look, I have to say PDF because I'm selling PDF patterns. But I mean, you know, that's not the reason why. That's the reason why I got into actually designing the PDF patterns, because I really love them. I love the fact that you can just print them off at home. And I mean, I love paper patterns too. I've got a lot of paper patterns. That's what Spotlight's good for, actually. Spotlight have sales on all the time on paper patterns. You can get 3 for $10. They have that sale on quite often. So if you've got a Spotlight store, just keep your eye out for those sales. But I love PDF. I know a lot of people don't like sticking them together, but I've got a guillotine, and I have Gabby from Gabardashery to thank for this, because she sewed up my pin pegs mini skirt. And not long after, that's when I started following her, she had this little Instagram shot of a guillotine where she had cut her PDF pattern with the guillotine. And I'm like, that is so clever. It has saved so much time. So, and they don't cost much. I can't remember. This is like 20 bucks, 30 bucks, I'm not sure. But I mean, you know, scissors cost money too. So that was fantastic. Good idea. Thanks, Gabby. That was one of the best things I've seen in a long time, actually. And also the other thing that Gabby mentioned, and I've got too, is a really good sticky tape dispenser. You cannot, if you've got that sitting next to you with a guillotine, honestly, I stick my patterns together within, you know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes tops. So yeah, I like PDF patterns. You can print them off over and over. If you've, you know, grown or shrunk in size, you just reprint it. They're great. I love them. Do you have any other hobbies? Yes. I race bikes, cycling bikes, not motor racing bikes. Yes, I'm a mad keen cyclist. I'm a personal trainer into fitness, so they're my two things, fitness and fashion. So I race bikes every Sunday. I race over the summer, and over the winter I do some road racing. I've got the club championships coming up this Sunday. So between trying to fit in sewing and racing bikes, working a few days a week, raising my children, I don't have time for many other hobbies. I'd like to get into the garden. I don't mind digging around the garden, but I just don't have time. And I like to read when I can, but I'm always tired. But yeah, I like to read a little bit. And that's about it, really. So that's my Seamstress tag done. I hope I haven't bored you too much. I've had fun with it, and I've really enjoyed watching your Seamstress hashtag videos. They've really inspired me, actually, so keep them coming. It doesn't matter if it's late. Keep them going, and thanks to Hollie Sews for such a great idea.